girls, grab your beers.
Hey everybody, this is Charlie from Anthrax, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now here's your host.
I am Monty Heath, so one Heath, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
Hey, what's up? It's John from Skillet, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle on Domain Cleveland Radio.
Fasten your seatbelts.
Inkcarceration Music and Tattoo Festival is back, July 14th through 16th at Ohio State Reformatory with Slipknot, Limp Bizkit, Pantera, plus Full Beat, Megadeth, Lamb of God, In This Moment, Highly Suspect, and more. Passes on sale now as low as $10 down at Inkcarceration.com. Inkcarceration.
So come and get it, get it.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle. And real quick housekeeping note, if you're watching us on YouTube or Rumble or BitChute or Odyssey, please hit that follow, subscribe button. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever podcast platform you prefer, please hit that follow and subscribe button so we can continue to bring you conversations like the one I'm about to have right now, talking with my brother Marcos from the band P.O.D. What's going on, man?
Brother? How are you, Bill?
I'm good, man. Yeah, you're doing me a solid, so I'm glad we were able to get this conversation, and looking forward to seeing you this weekend in the flesh.
Heck yeah, man. Well, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here, and looking forward to this festival on Friday for us. We're playing on Friday night, so I'm excited. Yeah,
I'm excited too, because I've seen you guys a few times already, but I'm going to have both of my daughters with me, so they get their first experience, checking out P.O.D, man. So
that's cool, man. We're definitely children friendly.
yeah, for sure. And that's a great segue for the question I like to ask my guests when I first have them on for the show. Like, do you remember, like, originally, what did you want to be when you grew up, before you were a youth of the nation?
Well, for me, dude, I wanted to be a pilot. And I had all these pictures of, F-14s back in the day, F-16s on my wall. And I was going to go to school and maybe join the Air Force and then become an airline pilot. I had it all planned out. And then I think I saw Monsters of Rock or something. Stadium tour. I was like 12 or whatever the age was, and it straight up was life-changing, because I saw either the Scorpions or whoever it was back then, sliding on their knees, jamming on a guitar solo, and I was like, wow, that's what I want to do. And when I turned 13, I asked for a guitar and an amplifier from my mom, and she's like, where is this coming from? Because it wasn't like I had a bunch of friends that we were all trying to start a band or something. It was just something that hit me, and I was like, dude, I want to do that. And my mom was like, single parent home, she had to work extra time just to get me a guitar, and she just didn't understand where it was coming from. And because I grew up in the neighborhood, nobody was trying to play guitar, man. Everybody was doing hood shit, you know what I'm saying? So it was I was like, yeah, and it just came natural. I'm self-taught. I had some friends along the way give me some pointers, and I wanted to be in pilot before I became a rock guy.
That's great, man. Yeah, it's funny too, because I ended up working on F-14s when I went in the Navy out of high school and stuff. So that's about as close as I got to it, watching Top Gun and stuff. Never was disciplined enough to pick up an instrument, but I'm a huge music fan, you know. But it's cool to hear your story, how you know, maybe your mom didn't see it at the time, but I'm sure, you know, as time went on.
Well, she never quite understood it until it finally just clicked one day. I grew up in a really religious home, and so she was like, well, if you're going to play guitar, you're going to have to play for the Lord. And I was like, dang. I was like, because, you know, I was into Maiden and, you know, Dio and Metallica. Like back then, I was, you know, a youngster, just putting my feet in the sand, trying to soak it all in, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And get rooted. And I said, okay, sure. But I knew that was my way in, and that was my way to get a guitar. And that was my way to start jamming. And you know what? To be quite honest with you, I didn't have a teacher, so I sat in my room and I would just go buy magazines, guitar magazines, and just read them. And then I'd go to a lot of punk rock shows, garage shows, hardcore shows back in the day, and I would look at what these other guitar players were doing, and I was like, I'm gonna go do that when I get home. And a lot of times these, you know, people would end up going out to party and do all this stuff, and I was like, no, I'm just gonna stay home. I just wanted to play guitar. And you know, at the time everybody's like, what? But it saved my life, man. A lot of friends growing up are either no longer with us or they're locked up. So
yeah.
And yeah.
So yeah, that and like, what was the scene like around you then, you know, when you were getting out, checking out some of the bands?
Well, there was a big underground punk rock hardcore scene in Chula Vista, National City, where I still reside. But it's not like that anymore. There was an actual scene, and there would be, like, for instance, a friend's house. His name was Del Mar. Everybody would go to his house because they would throw shows inside the garage to keep the noise level somewhat down. And you would pack 100 people in this 2-car garage, close the garage door. They would open it to air it out. Once the band was done, the band would load up, and then they'd shut the garage door, the big wooden ones, the old school ones that close like that. And they would set the drum kit up, and then the band would be facing towards the house, and the crowd would be right there just moving and just hanging from the wood and everything, dude. It was crazy. But it changed my life, man. I was like, this is awesome. And that's kind of where P.O.D. was born, man. We come from a hardcore punk rock background, but we also come from the neighborhood, you know, the streets of Southtown and Chula Vista and South San Diego and National City, where we appreciated a lot of different styles of music, not just hardcore, but that was part of us. It was, you know, there was hip hop, reggae, you know, and a lot of rap. So we started to fuse that with our punk rock roots. And the closest thing back then, there was a local band here in town that influenced us called House of Suffering. And then they were before Rage, and Zach De La Roca was doing Inside Out, playing shows with House of Suffering. And House of Suffering was actually doing the more hardcore rap, you know, thing. And then Rage was born many years later. But the closest thing was Suicidal Tendencies or Ice-T's Body Count back then when we were kids. And we just kind of came up with our own rendition of what we liked and what we felt from the neighborhood and with our friends. And we'd put shows together in the backyard and say, hey, we're going to do a show. We'd play keggers. Sometimes we'd get through the whole set. Sometimes the cops would come shut us down. But we just never stopped. And we're still doing it. We're grown-ass men. We have our own families. And, yeah.
You own your own 2-car garages now or more.
Yeah, and we're just, you know, we're still doing the same thing, but, you know, you grow. I think it's like wine. I think, you know, a lot of people think that you write your best stuff when you're younger, and yeah, I get it. But I think if you stay as a unit, which we have, for the most part, it just gets finer with time because you're growing. You're growing musically, and I think for my band, we've always stayed true to the core of what we are as a band. We've experimented with different sounds, but that's kind of always been the P.O.D. flavor. If you go back to our independent records, we're messing with funk, we're messing with punk, we're messing with rap, hardcore metal. We were just having fun. There was no rules. It was very unorthodox because everybody was like, well, if this is this. And then, you know, even on that whole Christian tip, because we played a lot, there was a big Christian hardcore underground scene, like bands like Focused and band like, you know, a lot of these hardcore bands, Unashamed, and now, you know, Zayo. And as time progressed, the Under Oaths and all that stuff kind of came out. We were there through it all, but we were there before a lot of that. And the Blind Sides. And we didn't really think, wait, we're going out to be this or have a stigma of that or anything like that. It was just kind of given to us. So then everybody just started calling us a Christian band. And we were like, dude, faith is personal, and faith comes out in our music. When you listen to Bob Marley, when you listen to freaking Santana, it's real. Lauryn Hill, that's stuff that comes from here. And our singer's very in tune with that. And we all touch base, but we're no religious, we're nobody's guru, man. We're just a bunch of punk rock kids that just like to have fun, man. And we just, as we grew older, we learned how to write different styles and different songs and how to structure things through different great producers. And it's still P.O.D. 1000%.
Yeah. I remember, you know, I mean, I first got hip to you guys with Alive, you know, on the radio and stuff like that out here in Cleveland. Or I think it came out after I was in the Navy when I first went into active duty or whatever. But, you know, after, you know, it's funny because like you were saying, it's like, God, you hear the message of the Spirit, you know, it comes from the heart. That was just a hot jam, dude. I loved it. And I would always love playing it. But after I had my own like spiritual awakening after my last deployment, you know, and I got sober and, you know, my life turned around, I go back and listen to that song now. And it hits me different because it's like, my heart was open to receive the message differently, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what I love about music and how, you know, our higher power or whatever can talk to us through it.
Well, dude, it's not a gimmick for us. It's actually very personal. And when people try to market it or use it as a marketing tool to sell or, you know, capitalize, that's not why we did that. You know, like I said, I like to quote the U2s. I like to quote the Bob Marleys because they're coming from that place. You know, it's a spiritual connection where, you know, I think a lot of what's the proper way to say this? The human error and human arrogance. It's all about me, and this band's completely the opposite. We definitely carry some of that street vibe that we grew up in the hood out here, the neighborhood, but you know, we got out of that for a reason. And music, like I said, saved my life, man. It gave me purpose. And if I can encourage somebody, you know, to just stay positive and to spread positivity to somebody else, then my job is done, you know, because that's, you know, what it should
giving
be
back what you had received, you know, and through the gifts that you've been given as well, you know?
Yeah. You know, a lot of people want to just, you know, make you the poster child of what they can attach to and then try to like use that to kind of like, oh, well, this band, this is that. And it's like, no, man, like we're a band for everybody.
Yeah.
And we're a band that wants to encourage everybody. When you get into the religious stuff or even like the hardcore scene, there was the straight edge, you know, thing, or I get it and I can appreciate it all, but our band was meant for bigger in the sense of trying to write music that's going to enlighten people, encourage people to get through their day. So that's what our goal's been, and it continues to be that. And people that understand that, they love our band, and there's other people that don't, and they automatically just assume what they don't know. They're afraid of what they don't know. So they just, oh man, I don't listen to that band because they're this or they're that. It's like, hey, I don't need to have everybody like me. I don't need to have everybody listen to me. But the bottom line is we're probably one of the realest bands in the industry.
Oh yeah.
So that's just, I can say that with pure confidence and with backing my brothers in my band up. Because I mean, dude, we didn't just come together. No one put us together. We didn't even have, there was no ads. It was meant, the universe, the Most High kind of put it together, because if you think about it, like I was telling somebody, I go, dude, there's guys that are just trying to make it and they play in band after band and they've played in so many bands. We were a bunch of punk rock kids, dude, that just started in a garage, the old American dream, dude. And it's so crazy. We were talking, I was like, dude, maybe I was in one other band, maybe two, if that, because I was learning how to play guitar. Like it just, this was it. And we look back on our career and like, dude, this was meant to be. Like, we just were meant to get together, bunch of kids from the neighborhood and jam in a garage. And we just kept growing. And here we are, dude, playing Inkcarceration on a Friday night. And dude, it's been fun, man. Like we're going to keep riding the wave and rocking it till the wheels fall off, dude.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And you're talking about like, that how, people say you write your best stuff, but, I was listening to, that when Angels and Serpents Dance, before getting ready for our conversation here. And, I agree. It's like, as we get older and more mature, our art changes, I guess, and there was just songs that like back in the day, I was into like very heavy, very hard core stuff. And, I still enjoy a lot of that stuff. Like Hatebreed's one of my big bands. I'm looking forward to seeing them on Friday as well. Yeah. But I was listening to that album and it was just like, there's still so much P.O.D. there, but it's just like the growth of it. I just felt differently. And one of my favorites on there was This Ain't No Ordinary Love Song, and that's just, kind of like a slow jam, but it's just like that. Hey, that's where I'm at. And that's what I'm feeling today.
It has that Zeppelin overtone too, man. It's pretty cool. Like when I wrote that, it definitely, we always talk about that song. Cause it's one of mine and Trey's favorites. We've played it a few times live. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird because, some bands, if they lose the love for it, if they lose the passion and they're jaded, you'll hear it in their later records.
Oh yeah.
This band, for some reason,
just calling it in,
for us, it's the same four kids that grew up and that have the same passion. They're just brothers that want to just get together and jam and do what we like and what we feel. That's what you're getting. And every record we try to, like, it's P.O.D., but wait till you hear the new one. Like we have a song with Randy Blythe from Lamb of God.
Oh, nice.
And we have another one with Tatiana from Ginger. And then we have one with Cove Reber of Seosin and Dead American. So yeah, dude, we've always been fans of music, so we always like to collab with people that have influenced us or people that we get down with vibe wise, and so it's just one of those things for us, man. We just naturally, it's kind of been an organic thing to just grow. It's not forced. That's why you don't see us putting out, people kind of complain, well, you guys put records out like every 4 to 5 years. I'm like, that's just because we don't force it. We have to be inspired and influenced to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And other bands that do that, you hear it, the Tools, the Radioheads, like they don't just put stuff out just to put out. And, we have fun with it. Sometimes we do put a little more out, but it's not something that we're forcing. That's all,
Yeah. And speaking of the new album, I seen that you had posted something about like you're going to be working with Dolby ATMOS, You know,
Yeah.
what is I'm not like a studio guy. Can you kind of explain for the audience like what that does?
Basically, Dolby Atmos, if you go to a movie and you hear all the sounds that are surround the whole theater and it's loud and you hear all these weird like things coming at you, it's like back in the day it was like 5.1 or whatever. Now it's like 7.1 or whatever. Apple is actually on the forefront. They have their headphones, so when you turn, it moves, and then you can hear their default, like from what I understand, their default setting is if a band has Dolby Atmos, that's what you're going to be listening to on their service. Spotify just announced that they're doing the same thing. It's basically like a wide open. It's as if you were watching the band play in a theater and it's just really wide open. You can hear everything. It sounds like it's live.
Like you're there with them, basically.
That's the technology. And the problem there with that is that you get your stereo mix that everyone is used to listening to. And then you have your Dolby Atmos mix. A lot of times the guys that do the Dolby Atmos mix aren't the same guys that did the stereo mix. But for us on this record, the new one coming out, we were like, if this is going to be our first album that's going to be Dolby Atmos, then we should have the same guy that mixed the record for stereo mix the Dolby Atmos mix. And it worked itself out, and he was able to do both. So what's happened sometimes, you're like, man, dude, you know, I'm listening to the regular mix, it's banging, but then I go listen to Dolby Atmos mix, it might be somebody else mixing that. So it's not as cohesive. So we wanted to make sure it was cohesive by the same guy. He actually learned how to do the Dolby Atmos. Mr. Josh Wilbur, who's mixed, worked with Gojira. He's worked with freaking Lamb of God, Papa Roach. Like, he's a badass dude, and he mixed our new record. So he did both mixes. Nice.
Looking forward. Any idea when that's supposed to drop?
Well, we have some new music coming within the next month or two. It's going to be, we're going to drop with the visual, like a video. And it'll be released on all streaming platforms so that everyone can see the direction that we're headed in. And then we're going to do another one before the year ends, and then probably go to radio in the beginning of the year at some point. And then drop the record in springtime.
Gotcha. Any chance of us hearing one of the new ones getting a taste this Friday?
Oh yeah, definitely. We're doing one for sure.
Nice.
It's actually called Drop. It's the song that Randy's making an appearance on the record.
Awesome. Looking forward to that.
Heck
yeah. Yeah, you guys have had like you said, I mean, having the core still together after all these years, and just being able to, the things you've gotten to experience by not forcing it, by being genuine. One of still to this day, one of my favorites of yours, because I'm a big wrestling fan, is when Rey Mysterio comes out, how did that relationship come together for you guys?
Well, he's from the same area. It's funny because he's from the same area that we all grew up in, Southtown. So is another fun fact is so is the TV personality Mario Lopez and Slater.
Yeah,
he's from the same area too. So we all kind of grew up going to school together, and we might not be best of friends, but we all knew each other. Rey Mysterio actually had more of a connection with Sonny and Wov, the drummer and the singer of P.O.D. So it was just a natural connection. So when it came through, he was like, dude, what's up? Do my song? And it just so happened that it worked out, and he still uses it till this day.
Oh, yeah. Every time I hear it, man, I'm thinking about you guys. So it's good stuff, man. I don't know if you keep an eye on the product at all, but I love what's been going on with his son now in it and everything. Dirty Dom.
Yeah, the
Judgment Day.
Yeah, the drama there. I'm old school. Last time I watched wrestling was when we had Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, the Junkyard Dog, and
Yeah, yeah.
The old school, and I kind of just fell off after that. I just never really was my thing, and so when it came back around with this, I was like, I got caught up watching some of it, and then I was like, became friends with Chris Jericho, and I started watching it a little more, and I was like, oh, okay. And so recently I saw the whole drama with Rey Mysterio and his son, and I was like, oh man, this is a soap opera.
It is soap opera for men.
Exactly, dude. And then I got sucked in, and I was like, oh man. And but I haven't seen it since. I'm just saying, like, I can see why it's so popular, dude. It's so dramatic.
Yeah, I started with WrestleMania 2 as a kid, Hulk Hogan, Andre at WrestleMania 3, and I just, my grandpa got me into it. And then, I try and get away, but it's like, it's like you said, it's a soap opera. I'm still watching it to this day. I enjoy it.
Yeah. And you know what, dude? Yeah, I had all the action figures back then. The Hulkamania, Hulkamaniacs, freaking all that stuff. And then, like I said, I stopped and got more into real boxing, and now I follow a little bit MMA. I think I have friends that are way more into MMA than me. I just, for me, I'm a nerd, dude. I'm playing either video games if I'm not writing music in my studio. And now as of over a couple years now, I've been DJing. I
wanted to ask you about that.
I've been a huge fan of electronic music throughout my career. I mean, you hadn't heard it much in the P.O.D. stuff, but we did get some remixes back in the day, and I was a big advocate for doing that because I've always been a huge fan of electronic music. So we have a remix of Boom by the Crystal Method. Crystal Method was huge back in the day.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then we also have one by Paul Oakenfold, and a couple others are out there. But during the pandemic, I was kind of like, well, dude, I'm on lockdown. What am I going to do? And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I write a lot of electronic music. I will be releasing some soon. But I was like, why don't I just DJ and have fun and go live on my Instagram? I started doing that. People started tuning in from all over, Belgium, Brazil, all over the place. And I was like, dude, this is cool. And people would stay up, on different parts of the world. They're like, it's morning time, but I'm rocking you in my car right here while you're DJing. I was like, cool, man. And so it just kind of stuck, and I got really passionate about it, and I'm still super passionate about it. And I'm doing a lot of gigging around town and up in LA and San Diego, and they just keep getting better, bigger. And I'm just like, okay, well, this is cool. Start doing some after parties during P.O.D. shows, and just doing what I love and being passionate, and that's what life's all about.
Exactly. Yeah, man. And what a great therapy, during that time, that uncertainty, to just keep yourself, positive and helping other people stay positive too, during that.
Exactly, man. And, dude, I'm still doing it, and I'm growing. It's just like anything else, man. So I'm excited. Been doing that, and got a couple.
Yeah. What's the DJ name again?
It's Mark. Like, my name is Marcos, so Marquitos. So like a key and then T05 toast. So growing up, like when you were a kid, the kid version of Marcos was Marquitos. So your parents would be like, come here, Marquitos. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And when they say the full name, you're in trouble or something, right?
Yeah. It's like, and now even my friends, even before that, like it's a lot of the Spanish speaking friends too would, Marquitos, what's up, man? Like that. So I just spelt it differently, put a little twist on it. And, you got Tiesto, you got all these different names out there. And I was like, dude, Marquitos is perfect. Yeah. So, and it's stuck, man. And dude, it's growing. It's becoming its own little brand. So I'm excited, man. It's funny because you'll see like Shaq, he's DJing. A lot of people don't know that. But, dude, he's kind of the same thing for him. He was like, dude, this is the only thing that he's found that's given him that intense rush and passion when he's DJing a big crowd, because it reminds him of when he was in, seventh game of a series and winning it. And I was like, that's pretty interesting that he sees and feels that way. But I know what he means, because, you know, you're making everybody move as a DJ, just as you are playing guitar in a band. And it's definitely very fulfilling because people are vibing to what you're putting down. So it's just for me, it's exciting because it's just another side of me. You know, I've been doing the rock metal thing for a minute, and dude, I'm having a blast, dude, and I'm experimenting and just growing into whatever the future holds. I don't have any expectations other than just vibing and having a good time, bro.
Amen, man. Yeah, and it keeps that brain going, you know, when you're you know, learning new things and doing new things, you know.
And, you know, a lot of people don't understand it. And I think this day and age is a lot of people, they tend to, I think, a little more accepting, but there's still those very narrow-minded people. Well, it's not metal. It's not rock. You're playing dance music now and electronic. I'm like, yeah, dude, I like that stuff too. That's just a whole other side of me, you know, and it's a little self-indulgent, but dude, that's what art is. Yeah. An artist has to feel something to go paint, and then people go, dude, that's awesome. They either like it or they don't. I was like, dude, I'm going to DJ. You either like it or you don't. I'm going to still do it. I don't care.
Exactly. You know I mean, but it's like we were talking about earlier. If it's something that's hitting somebody's heart and communicating, you know, language of the heart, then do it, man.
Heck yeah, dude.
I liked too, you know, speaking of during the pandemic, you know, you guys wrote that song, did that song Remember Me. Like, you want to talk a little bit about that inspiration?
Remember Me during the pandemic. Did we?
Yeah, unless I got my notes mixed up here. But
no, Remember Me? No, the last record we put out was Circles.
Circles. Okay. So then you had, so during the pandemic, you guys had no P.O.D. That's what you were doing then.
Yeah, we there was a year and a half that we didn't even see each other.
Wow.
You know, because everybody was just so in their own world, and we didn't get to jam because our studio, they shut it all down. Like, we weren't able to go there. You know what I mean? So it was kind of,
yeah. I mean, California was really, you know,
it was different, but it ended up working itself out, and we just started jamming, and we did a tour during the pandemic. It was the 20th year anniversary for Satellite. And, you know, the venues were like half full because they were only allowing so many people. And then they had to be vaccinated. So it was a weird tour.
Or show you know, test and all that stuff. I remember that.
So a lot of people would buy tickets and not show up. I remember playing our first show in Denver, and we had about 700 people there, but they were like, yeah, 400 people bought tickets, and then there were no shows. And I'm like, well, they either got scared or something. And I'm like, well, they don't get their money. Like, no, dude, there's no refund. The promoter, you know, live. And I was like, wow. So they just don't care. So no, they have opportunity to switch it out, but they don't do it. And I'm like, that's weird.
Well, maybe they just wanted to support the band, you know, even though,
that's true.
You know, so wanted to make sure you guys got paid. You were still out there doing your thing, you know.
It was a weird tour, but dude, I mean, you know, Sonny's got a whole new reggae album that he's gonna drop at some point. You know, so these are just amplifications from each person. When we come together, we're P.O.D, but we're so influenced by so many different genres of music. And I think that's why the band sounds the way it does. But that's how it's been since we were kids. We grew up in the neighborhood. Everyone was listening to hip hop, breakdancing. It was listening to, and then it was punk or hardcore, you know, so it was a mix. And we just embraced it all, man. We weren't like, we're just this, we're just going to be this type. We were like, no, let's take it all in, man. We like all of it.
Yeah. Well, you know, when you were sharing about playing the garages and the scene, you know, back then, the punk scene, and, you know, like Suicidal playing house shows and stuff like that back in the day, our mutual friend, Dave Buckner, shared the similar story on how he got, you know, hip to the scene, seeing Suicidal in somebody's living room party or whatever. And, I wanted to, speaking of Dave, I wanted to ask about your other project that you guys were working together on, the Daylight Division.
Well, yeah. Well, it's a project that we did many years ago. It's almost 10 years ago. We have 6 songs that are finished. It has Joe Loeffler, original bass player from Chevelle. I'm on guitar. Dave is on drums. And then we had this kid named Lucas Rossi on vocals. And it's finished, but because of my label and because of the new P.O.D record, everything kind of got put on halt. And I was getting ready to talk to Dave. We've been playing phone tag about putting it up and releasing it because our record doesn't drop till next year. So it's kind of one of those things where I was like, yeah, we just need to, we're not really technically a band because we haven't jammed in years. These are just songs that were written that haven't seen the light of day.
Yeah, and I know he started kind of pushing it on social media a little bit. So
yeah, but then it got halted because of my contract with the label, and that's the business. And I think we're gonna get it up and out at some point just to have it out there, breathing and letting people freaking listen. So, like that's a whole nother extension of me too. So I have a lot of different projects musically, but like I said, I'm also a dad. So, kind of finding.
And that's our number one project. I know.
Yeah. And finding balance, but teaching them to use their mind, to think critically and to, follow their heart and be creative or do everything that they can, but 120% if they really love it, and that's all we can do is guide. They ultimately make their own decisions. So that's a whole nother art. That's a whole nother language.
Yes, it is, man. And I have, like I said earlier, I had 2 daughters, and it's just like, I had to learn a whole new language of the heart. I was raised by a World War II Marine, and I did, my time in the military, and what works for boys don't work for girls, so it's like they've changed my heart for the better. And I've been able to, have a better relationship with them now because of it, and definitely looking forward to our weekend together. And I definitely want them to meet you guys.
Heck yeah, dude. It'll be nice to meet you in person, my brother.
Yeah, for sure. We crossed paths a little bit in the past, but it was just like, kind of quick, but be good definitely to hang this time, man. And speaking of, somebody else that you've gotten to do some work with, another mutual friend of ours that kind of made this whole conversation happen, Renee of Reach NYC, and you did some.
I dropped some guitars on there. Yeah. Renee's a dear friend of mine, yours, Dave's, and he's a very passionate individual. So like, it's funny because him being from the East Coast, I'm always like, bro, you don't have to sell me shit. Like, I already know, like, I'm down. I'm your homie. Like, it always feels like my friends from the East Coast are always trying to like hustle me. Like, hey man, dude. I'm like, hey dude,
the New York thing.
And then they're like, well, you're so lax, man. You're too kicked back. You guys over there putting your feet in the sand on the beach and smoking a joint. What are you guys doing? And I'm like, dude, what's wrong with that? I go, we're chill, dude. We're chill. What's the big deal?
Yeah, you're stressed, man. It's
like you're just
concrete jungle.
Yeah, and I'm like, relax, man. So Renee's that guy on the spot. Like, dude, I'd be hanging out for 5 minutes. All right, let's go try guitars right now. And I'm looking at him going, what? And he's like, yeah, let's go. And then I'm like, I guess we're going. And then I go in and drop the stuff real quick. And next thing you know, I'm on the record. So it's all love.
Yeah.
And it's all respect. And it's just, it's funny how things work out with regards to Renee.
it was funny too, as we were talking earlier about setting this up, and you said, so I should not be, I should be immobile or stationary, for this. And I'm like, yeah, but when I had Renee, he was all over walking around,
Yeah.
You can't sit still. That guy's always doing something,
Yeah, no, I got you. And my apologies for pushing it back an hour, dude. I just, I got, like I said, I'm a dad, I'm running around, and I was like, oh, dang it, I forgot it's at 11. And then I was like, is there any chance?
Yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good. I gave myself a window with the next one because I wanted to have this conversation with you because you know, it's cool. To not just talk about the music and stuff, but about the real world life stuff, you know, like you said, the language of the heart, man.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, you know, it's like, I'm excited to connect with you guys at Inkcarceration on Friday. And I know you guys have a history with some of the Danny Wimmer festivals. What's your experience been like playing those?
You know what, man? Like the band, you know, the language of the heart, whether it's the best show, the sloppiest show, the most tight show, it doesn't matter to us because it's real and it is the language of the heart. We're taking our hearts and throwing it on the stage. And whether you're entertained or not, we're not like practicing our moves and doing all this stuff. We're getting up there, plugging in and going, all right, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So excuse my French, but yeah, dude, seriously,
the energy's reciprocal though. You know, it's like when you know it's for real, it's like, it's something that vibe that you're feeling up there, you know, the audience is feeling and they're giving back and feeding you more, you know?
And that's the energy, man. You're always going to get 120 from us. And sometimes there's technicalities, sometimes you know, roll perfect, but you're going to get the songs that actually move you, and you're going to get the performance of a band that just loves to do what they do. And that's what I'm proud of, man. I'm proud to be on stage with these guys when we're, you know, for all these years, when we're on tour every night. And right now it's going to be, you know, we're just doing a bunch of flying out, fly in, play, fly home. And this is one of them. And then next weekend we're playing in Wisconsin. So, you know, we're not doing a full on tour, but we're just kind of keeping our feet wet and kind of just like jamming and feeling the vibes and jamming with each other. Cause you know what, dude, at the heart of it all, dude, like we do this cause we love it. And if we didn't love it, we wouldn't do it. So we're just grateful and thankful to be here, and grateful that people like yourself want to continue to talk to us and, you know, and listen to our music. I can't wait for you to hear the new shit, dude.
Yeah, man. I'm definitely looking forward to that, man. And, you know, before we get ready and wrap up, man, I want to ask you a couple of questions I normally ask. Yes, I have on. And we've been talking a lot about the language of the heart. Especially through music. Is there a particular song that you feel has inspired you in life that you could go back to, that's kind of like, you know, in your playlist, your go-to when you need that extra like inspiration or pick me up?
Of my own, or just any particular
any song, any artist?
It depends on the mood I'm in, because I listen to so many different genres. I wouldn't say that there's just one particular song. It's more of a playlist. Like I have a Cure playlist, I have a metal playlist, I have a Smiths playlist. So it just depends on what I'm feeling at the moment. But like one particular song, it's hard, man, because I love them all, dude. It just depends on where I'm at emotionally.
Yeah, no,
I can't give you the one song, because like a song that's dear to me, because my dad used to play it all the time, was Hotel California by the Eagles. And as a kid, you know, I don't listen to it as much as I did when I was younger. But when I played it a couple of times for my son, who's 13, he instantly gravitated towards that song. And, Dad, can we hear that song? Can we hear that song? I was like, okay. But it's the same effect that it had on me when my dad played it for me. So it's why one of those things where it's like, it's the key that it's in, the guitar work, the lyrical content, the melody, you know, it's a great song. So that's one song that I can put on at any time, and it's like, dang, this song really kind of hits.
Yeah, and that's awesome. That was something that you got to share with your dad, and now you're getting to share it with your son, you know. So
yeah, and he's requesting it because he likes it. So I'm like, yeah, I guess we all like it.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. And then speaking of being dads and stuff, is there like what class do you feel should be mandatory for kids before graduating high school today and going out into the world?
A class?
Yeah.
Well, there should be two. Etiquette, respect for, like, you know, for your peers, but also for your parents. That would be one. And the other one is how to manage your money.
Yep, that's the number one I usually get whenever I ask that question. Everybody's like the same thing. It's like, you know, but I think that's part of the game. They don't want us to know how to manage our money. Just go out and spend it, you know, or
pretty much
sign these contracts.
Exactly. Yep, that's exactly it. But you know, they had a course, because I hear that they do in other countries, like in Japan. Like I hear that there's different courses that they mandatory that are part of, like, okay, well, you need this credit. It teaches them how to balance your checkbook and how, you know what I mean, how to save money and all this stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Definitely should have that, especially learn the pay taxes or whatever.
Exactly.
And then who is 3 people who've inspired you and you could credit for making you the person you are today?
Well, my mom would be number one. And you know, she's still here till this day, thank God. But she was very influential, being a single parent, but also not just being my mom, but being my friend, and also understanding that she had a boy that she was bringing up, and, you know, understanding the possibilities of what I would what I was going through as a young man. So she, like, for example, her going out of her way to buy me a guitar and an amp when she didn't really have the money. Like, that's the type of person she is, you know?
Yeah.
And
that would keep you off the streets, you know?
Pretty much. And then, you know, the times that I did go out and party and get out there, you know, she's a very faith-driven woman. I'd come home and I'd come home late, 3, 4 in the morning, and she'd be on her knees praying on the couch for my safety. And I'd walk in and I'd be like, "Mom, what are you doing?" She's like, "No, we're just making sure you get home safe." And I was like, dang, you know, and she's one of the strongest people I know. She's a liver kidney transplant survivor. And for her age, she looks great. And she's a servant. She likes to give and help people. So,
yeah,
you know,
our moms sound like they got a lot in common.
Yeah. So that's really cool. I think my bandmates would be the other, because I mean, I spent half of my lifetime traveling with them and growing up with them on the road and struggling and you know, ups, downs, and believing in this ship that we've been keeping afloat, and you know, basically brothers from another mother, dude. So I think that would be a number 2. And then, you know, like Snoop Dogg said, number 3, I want to thank myself. And I'm just kidding. I had to do it. But no, man, you know, in music, you know, my family, I can't really, other than my mom, I can't really I'd have a long list.
Yeah.
You know, I think
that's to narrow down that third, you know?
Well, because the thing is like, it takes a tribe, man. It takes a tribe, and, you know, we may not have had it all and may you know, struggled, but if somebody was hungry, they always gave it to you. You know what I mean? If you didn't have something, somebody would pitch in. An aunt would come and say, "Hey, I got you." You know what I mean? Like, that's just the way it's been in my family. So, and that's what family is about. But, you know, come to realize it's not like that with everybody. So I appreciate that. And my family is it's not the biggest family, but it's definitely a tight knit, and definitely grateful. And The other one, I guess number 3 would be the Most High, man, because of the mercy and the grace for me. Because, you know, I was just a punk ass kid, had big dreams, and you know, my dreams came true, dude. So
that's beautiful, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then I like to ask this one. It takes people back, man, and I get a lot of fun answers. Favorite toy as a child?
Ooh, you know, growing up, I went and saw the latest Transformers movie. I dragged my kids on Father's Day because I said, look, you may not dig this, you may not get it, but this is my day, and we're gonna go see Transformers because I grew up on that.
Yeah.
And I want to watch it. And they dug it. They're like, well, so this was a big cartoon or whatever growing up? I was like, yep. Huge. And I watch all these movies when they come out. They may not be the best movies, but it just takes me back to being a kid.
Yeah.
When we couldn't really afford, because they were expensive, man, to get these Hasbro Transformers. It was so cool that you could just manipulate them and put them in, make them into a car or make them into a plane. But my favorite was Starscream.
Oh yeah, I love his voice too on the cartoon.
Yeah, Starscream and Soundwave were my favorite.
Yeah,
they're both Decepticons. I had an Optimus Prime, Starscream, and Soundwave. Starscream, because of the jet, wanting to be a pilot, I thought it was the coolest thing, dude.
Yeah, and Soundwave being the boombox. Yeah,
being the boombox with the little tapes that turn into little animals.
Yeah, that was sweet, man.
Yeah,
I like, you know, it's. I love like enjoying these things that I grew up with too. Like I have boxes of comic books. I was a big comic book nerd growing up and stuff. So when the Marvel movies came out, I was dragging my girls out, you know, to go see those, man, and like watching Endgame on the big screen, man. You know, it was just like, dude, with that giant battle, dude, I had like tears of joy rolling down my face. My little girls are like, look at this guy. I'm like, man, this is beautiful. And I'm sharing it with you guys, you know?
Yeah, it is, man.
Amazing.
It is beautiful. Well, dude, I have a question for you. What's your favorite out of the movies that Marvel's put out? What's your favorite, I guess, what would be the proper term? Franchise.
Like
out of Marvel, you know, like there's different ones. Like what's the one you've enjoyed the most? I would
have to say probably, you know, I mean, I grew into, you know, I mean, I got the Captain America shield, you know, right here.
Okay.
You know, so like I wasn't always Captain America growing up. I was like, my very first tattoo I got in the Navy was Wolverine.
Okay.
You know, but so I was a big X-Men, you know, and I really loved I'm looking forward to that new Deadpool coming out with Hugh Jackman and stuff. But you know, I would say like, you know, Endgame was like it had my entire childhood, all of them on there, you know, so that was probably my favorite of all the movies, man. I haven't really followed much since, honestly.
Spider-Man's been since I was a kid. Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like that was my stuff. But I would have to say out of the most recent stuff, like the 3 Guardians of the Galaxies, dude. Those
I haven't seen the latest one yet, but those are definitely good.
It's funny, it's witty. Yeah, I really like it, dude. And I was showing my girlfriend because she had never seen them, and she's like, "What Marvel should I start with?" And I said, "Well, I think Guardians." So we watched the first 2, and then we watched the last one, and she became the biggest Groot fan. She's like,
nice.
So now it's a constant joke between us. I'm like, "Well, what's going on with you?" "I am Groot," and I'm like, "Okay." It's pretty funny, right? So
yeah. Okay. That's great, man. And then I gotta ask this one always. You know, and you mentioned Chula, you know, where you live, Chula Vista.
Yeah.
A best friend of mine growing up who got me you know, into the Navy was stationed out there in San Diego and lived there for a number of years. I would come out and visit him and stuff like that before we both got out. But any message that you have for our military members currently serving overseas?
Yeah, man. I mean, we've actually done a lot of shows last year. Not this 4th of July, the one that passed. We played in Qatar for the Air Force, and we've played for the Navy in Osaka and the Army. We support the troops, and we know that it can be rough being away, being musicians. It's different, obviously, different job, but we're still traveling away from our families, and I know that that can be rough. And I will say this, that we support you. We're grateful for what you guys sacrifice being away from your families for the safety of our country. It's not easy, but P.O.D. supports you 120%. And thank you, because I can't do it. Someone has to do it. So when we get the opportunity, we meet up with you guys, go play for you guys, and we're going to continue to do that, man, as long as we're a band. We love playing for the military. So, you know, and we don't get too political. We don't get too into that.
Yeah.
We're just supporting the actual troops because that's their job and that's why they're there and what they're doing. So we're like, yo, we're way into it.
Amen, man.
And thank you.
And then, well, man, Marcos, I really appreciate you, coming on, man, and having this conversation with you before we connect this weekend. But for everybody that's been listening and want to follow up more on what you're working on and stuff like that, and what you're up to, where would you want to send them?
Official Marcos Curiel on Instagram, and I have all my other pre-existing links in the little area right there underneath the photo.
Okay.
My other projects, and then you can kind of just go from there.
Awesome, man. Sounds good. And then real quick before I let you go, man, can I ask one favor from you?
Yes, sir.
Mind cutting a promo ID for the show? Just introduce yourself, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Boondoggle, okay. All right, let me know when.
Whenever you're ready, man.
Yo, what's up? This is Marcos from P.O.D, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle. Was that today's Boondoggle?
Yeah, today's Boondoggle.
Okay, I'll do it one more time.
All right.
Hey, what's up? This is Marcos from P.O.D, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle. Bam.
Awesome. Marcos, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it, man, and look forward to connecting on Friday.
Awesome, man. We'll see you soon.
All right, take care.
All right, later.